Hi, it's Chris from Broncos and Parts Garage. Today I'm making a brief video on door panel removal for 5th gen Broncos. That's 1992 through 1996. The same techniques will apply to the F-Series trucks, the F-150 from 1992 through 1996, and 1992 through 1997 for the F-250 and F-350s. For this job you'll need a number 2 Phillips screwdriver or a screw gun with a number 2 Phillips bit. I recommend, if it's your first time, to use a screwdriver as opposed to a cordless screw gun. Let's get started. 7 screws hold the door panel to the actual door. There's one more screw that holds the bezel in place. I like to start with the top screw. There's one in the armrest, there's one in the upper corner, and then the rest of the screws are located down in the bottom trim piece. Let's get started. All the panel screws are out, so now we'll work on taking off the switch bezel. It's a single screw. Be careful, take your time. There's delicate plastic on the inside. You need to pop a clip out to remove this. Then I'll show you how to remove the 3 screws that hold the switches to the bezel, and then you'll be able to drop the switch plate through the door panel and then remove the door. You'll want to carefully get your fingers underneath this and lift up slowly and straight. You don't want to lift up the back side, you don't lift up the front side, you'll break this clip. Once you have your bezel pulled out, you've made sure you haven't broken the tab on the inside of the door panel. These are what break. I believe you can buy a repair kit online from CP Attic down in Texas. But if you do it properly, you shouldn't break these plastic tabs. The next thing I'm going to do is take 3 screws out of the back of the switch plate. And again, take your time on these because it's fragile. Sometimes I like to tighten them up just a smidge to break them loose and then back them out. Now that you've got your 3 screws out, it's just a matter of pulling your switches out through the bottom, and these will now fit through the door opening. What you still need to do is disconnect the plug for your power mirror switch if your truck came equipped with power mirrors. I usually take my fingers or 2 flat screwdrivers, put them in the sides and pry upwards. Again, be very careful. This is delicate old plastic and these do break. I've got 2 small flathead screwdrivers. And now I'm simply going to pry off this switch. And now I've got the bezel removed and I'll set that aside. Right now your door panel is pretty much ready to come off. You'll need to tuck the switches down inside. Once your switch plate has been pushed into the door, you'll want to grab the door from the bottom and gently pull, and what you're doing is pulling out the Christmas tree or push pins. You're pulling those out of the door panel itself. They should stay attached to your door panel, and you'll want to replace those every time you pull those on or off. They're inexpensive. You can get 50 of them on Amazon for a few bucks. So what I do is I start from the bottom. Some guys use tools that'll go in there and pry them apart, but if you don't know where the pins are, the tools are kind of useless. So what I'm going to do now is go down and start pulling the door panel off and popping those pins out. It sounds like stuff's breaking, but in all actuality, you're just pulling all those Christmas tree plugs out of the door. While you're doing this, you'll want to lift up a little bit. Make sure your locks are down. You'll want to lift this up and then start to push everything towards the windshield. Once you have all the pins released, you'll still want to make sure that your switches are down inside the door panel. You'll want to make sure that you'll disconnect the light as soon as we get enough space. And you want to make sure you clear this handle. I always kind of pull the handle with my finger and it slides right through the hole. I go to the other side, reach around, and if you can see, you turn and twist the courtesy light, pull your switches out, and your door panel's off. Now you can do other tasks, which I'm going to be doing, and that's riveting my felt window sweeps to the actual door panel rather than use the chintzy metal tabs that come with it. Now that you've got your door panel removed, you can go in and take off 6 of the Christmas tree plugs that are remaining. Mine was missing some. There's one here. There's a second one here. 3, 4, 5, and 6. You'll want to pop these off. These are the Christmas tree plugs I was talking about. You just simply slide them in place and they kind of lock in place. Get my knee under here. It's a lot easier to do when it's laying down, but you slide them in. There's a little groove on each one of these clips, and you simply slide them into place just like this. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. To get the door panel back in place, basically reverse the steps. I'm not going to do the entire process, but I will show you how to hang it back on your door. When you're ready to put the door panel back on the door, there's just a few things you need to do first. One, you want to fish your courtesy light back into the reflector housing. About a, 20-degree turn should lock it in. Next thing you'll want to do, and I'm trying to stay out of the way, is run your switches back through your bezel opening. Yeah, let's see here. Power mirrors. So hold the door up as high as you can, or probably level with the door. Reach through the whisker door handle opening. Open the door handle, in other words, pull it up, and you'll be able to slide the door panel right into place. You'll want to lift up a little bit more. Make sure you get your door panel over the lock, under the vent window, over the lock, and set it down into place, and your door panel's in place. You want to take a look at your push pins and push the push pins into place. You'll feel them pop in as you go around the door, pushing them in place. You'll take your 7 screws, starting with the armrest, 6 more down here and up here. You'll reattach those. Don't go crazy on them. Don't go over tightening them. You don't want to strip them out. A lot of Broncos I see have larger and larger and larger screws or extra holes. Just go easy. Next thing you'll want to do is obviously reattach your switches with the 3 screws to the bezel. And it's just a matter of sliding these together, clipping back on your power mirror control, sliding this plastic and metal tab into the receiver end on here, and putting your screw back in. And that's all it really takes to get the door panel on and off. I hope I didn't make it look any harder than it is, but I've seen a lot of people tear these off. I've seen broken door panels. If these screws are stripped out, you could always remove them with screw removal tools. But the biggest problem I usually see, people pry these up and they break this tab, and then the door panel is pretty much ruined unless you go buy the repair kit. Not a lot of people know how to do that as well. Thanks for watching.